Hi everyone! Hopefully I don't ruin the shirt that I love. This is one of the ones I am the most excited about, but also that feels like the highest stakes. I'm seeing the error of my ways. If I finish this tonight, this will be the greatest success Beep World has ever seen. Right now, in my area, it's that time of year where I'm very excited spring is beginning, but there are also still just enough cool or rainy days that I am still stuck inside some of the time. So to me, there couldn't be a better time to enjoy some cozy crafting and do some upcycles and thrift lifts to prepare my wardrobe for the beautiful spring days to come. And that's exactly what I did this week. I am so excited to wear these pieces I upcycled or altered or made, not to spoil the video, but most of them really did turn out to be like the perfect spring pieces. And also, only one of them involves intensive sewing. Most of this didn't involve any sewing at all. So these projects also feature a lot of creativity and variation and sort of accessible entry-level ideas for people that don't have a sewing machine or other equipment. Let's just get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our first project. This video actually has a handful of no-sew projects, but we are going to start with a very minimal sewing project, cropping the sleeves of this shirt. You may remember this shirt from my last thrift flip video in which I added this patch to it. E is for Elizabeth, my legal Christian name. And at the time that I added this patch, I mentioned my intent to crop the sleeves. Now is the perfect time. You know, I actually intended to thrift a short sleeve button-up to add this patch to originally, but I just couldn't find one I liked, so I went with this one. But I've really been envisioning it with short sleeves from the beginning. Why is a short sleeve button-up such a different vibe from a long sleeve button-up? I don't know, but it really is, right? Long sleeve is like effortlessly chic, model off-duty, and short sleeve is like funky little bisexual, the two wolves that live inside of me. Now, if you're into like a very DIY raw hem look, you could totally just leave it here, chop the sleeves off, and you're good to go. But I'm gonna give them just a nice clean hem. That's my preference. And there you go. You know, one thing we all need in our closets, but we really can't thrift flip? Underwear. Luckily, we have today's sponsor, Parade, which makes sustainable, ethically certified, size-inclusive, and very comfy underwear. Today, I would specifically like to share the Free Comfort Boxer Brief because it is just an extremely comfy, light option if you like boxer brief underwear in general. But I've also recently discovered works so well as like safety shorts under skirts and dresses. They are insanely lightweight, soft, and breathable. The best description I can come up with is genuinely like cloud-like, and they keep me feeling very secure without being overly tight or restrictive or compressive at all. Incredibly useful moving into spring, aka cute little skirt and dress season. These are also made of one of my favorite materials, Parade's new cotton, which uses 95% less water than traditional cotton. It's made using upcycled cotton and tensile lyocell, a fiber from responsibly managed forests, and is just incredibly soft, stretchy, and breathable. I also have a discount code for you all, so if you're ready to try the Free Comfort Boxer Brief, or just refresh your underwear drawer, you can use code BEEP30 for 30% off site-wide. Okay, on to the next project. Okay, this one is honestly even simpler than the shirt. We are going to make a hair bandana from this pillowcase. I actually bought this just because the fabric was so pretty, and I was like, I'll have to use it for something, but I didn't really have a plan in mind. And I showed it in a thrift haul, and then one of you suggested in the comments making it into a hair bandana, which is literally the perfect project for this. I wear hair bandanas so much, and it's extremely easy. So thank you to that viewer. Brilliant idea. I have multiple other hair bandanas that are literally just scraps of fabric that I tie in my hair, and honestly, they work perfectly. So we're just gonna like trace one of these and cut it out, and that's gonna be it. First, I'm just gonna seam rip the two halves of the pillowcase apart so I can use one half and preserve the other half. Some of you may actually recall a time in another DIY video when I made another hair bandana. And for that one, I kind of went all out. I like made it double-sided and I used patchwork and I like attached little ties to it. I was trying to make it nicer than all the scrap fabric ones that I have. But then that ended up making it all too thick and the ties are a little too thick and the fabric doesn't lay quite right on my head. And it's just like a little finicky to wear. So I actually don't wear it nearly as often as just my simple little scrap fabric ones. I'm generally generally an advocate of trying to like do a good job and make things well and not just make things that are going to fall apart later. But I also feel like that's a good reminder that you don't always need to over-engineer it. And especially for something like this that isn't really going through the wash regularly, it's just a hair accessory. Sometimes the easiest version is also the most functional version. Not often, but in this case. And it's always just thrilling when it works out that way. Okay, we're on the couch for the next project. And this is one of the ones I am the most excited about, but also that feels like the highest stakes to me. I'm quite nervous about it, but I'm gonna do it anyway. Let me explain my thought process. So I was perusing the runway collections that have recently been shown at various fashion weeks, and I saw these t-shirts from Coach, graphic t-shirts that then look like they've been sort of doodled on and added to in addition to the original graphic. I am so tickled by this. I love a doodly, crafty DIY style. I love that it reminds me of like summer camp when you would all write your names on each other's shirts. So nostalgic, kind of artsy, very DIY. It's right up my alley. Then I thought, do I have any graphic t-shirts that I could add this to already in my closet? And I realized my Mitski merch tee is kind of the perfect candidate because I love wearing it. It's super comfy. It's a great fit. And there's like nothing wrong with this basic graphic, but I'm also not particularly attached to it exactly as it is. It's just quite plain. And overall, I actually feel like this shirt could be improved with some doodles. I actually re-listened to this album yesterday to specifically look for recurring motifs that I could like add to the shirt. So I really went in on this one. I'm dedicated. The reason I'm so dedicated and why this feels so high stakes to me is that this is one of my favorite shirts that I wear constantly. So if I ruin it, that is going to be depressing. But I have faith in myself. I'm not going to mess with it too much, just add a little bit here and there. So let's get into it. My first step here is going to be to sketch some ideas, some different options. I don't always do this because I love to freehand, but I'm really dedicated to getting this right. Okay, I have a vision. This, I'm sure, is pretty much indecipherable and means absolutely nothing to you, but that's fine because you'll see it realized on the actual shirt. I cannot chat to you all while I work on this because I'm gonna mess it up if I try to talk and draw at the same time. So I'm just gonna lock in, focus up. Hopefully I don't ruin the shirt that I love. Oh, and I'm using fabric markers, by the way, if you're wondering. Okay. Okay, hi. I really did lock in on this in silence, but I have a lot of thoughts to share about this project in voiceover. Ultimately, I don't want to alienate a large portion of you by getting too into the weeds about what specifically inspired these doodles. They're just sort of drawn from recurring images across this album and some other albums a little bit because I just couldn't help myself. But we have a shooting star, a cloud with lightning, a little moon and stars, and then some of the later doodles you'll see momentarily are meant to represent wind or a breeze. A lot of weather phenomena, I'm realizing. I also tried to choose images that speak to her work but are subtle enough to not feel overly obvious and referential. I was really trying to maintain the mystique and subtlety of the music within my doodles as well. Obviously, if you know her music, you get it, and if you don't, do yourself a favor and go give some of it a listen right now. Honestly, I just cannot get over how well this DIY idea applies to merch specifically. It's just the perfect pairing to make a wardrobe item that already speaks to your personal interests even more personal. It feels like a way to engage even more deeply with art you love. I would just love to see other people do this with merch for artists they love. I feel like if I were an artist with merch, I would encourage my fans to do this. Basically, what I'm saying is I want this to be a movement. Also, I just want to note, obviously, these look very hand-drawn and imperfect. That's kind of the point. And as you can see here, I also went back over some of the lines to create an even more hand-drawn sketchy look because that's really what I was going for, and I love how this allowed me to embrace imperfection in my making process. I ended up adding a couple more doodles off camera, so this is not quite the finished project, but you'll see them all at the end of the video. Okay, the t-shirt is done. You'll just have to wait till the end to see if I completely destroyed it or not. I'll give you a hint. I'm feeling pretty good about it right now. And now it's time for our next project, which is this beanie. I will admit this is not very seasonally appropriate for this little spring DIY video. But you know, sometimes you still need these in March. And frankly, I've just been meaning to do this for months now, so at least it'll be ready for next year. My project for this beanie is changing the word Jeep to the word beep. It's gonna be so cute. And this is actually another idea that came from some of you in the comments. When I thrifted this, you guys were like, have you considered that J wouldn't be that hard to change into a B, right? Brilliant, genius. I have the most creative, smart, helpful subscribers ever. So to do this, I don't have that much of a plan. I'm like kind of just planning to freehand it. So I guess we'll see how it works. But I feel like I can manipulate this into a B without having to like remove the J. Oh, and I'm doing this with embroidery, if that was not obvious. I just have some white embroidery thread and an embroidery needle, and that's all you really need. I was just commenting to my boyfriend that this has been like a shockingly easy and successful day of thrift flip so far, and then I realized I think that's mainly because it has involved very minimal sewing, and usually my sewing machine is where I get into some trouble. So it's nice to take a little break from that and enjoy other types of crafting. This is looking pretty wonky. I'm seeing the error of my ways. I feel like I did not do this the way I should have done it. Does this look like a letter B? I fear some may say no. Many may say no. And I may even say no. All right, well, we might have to come back to this. No, that's not a B, is it? I might have to rethink this one and reconfigure. All right, while I ponder what to do with that hat, we're gonna start our next project, which is turning this fabric into a skirt. I'm just gonna trace this skirt I already have that I like the fit of generally onto this fabric. This is a lovely plaid flannel, by the way. It's so soft. I found it at the thrift store. I think it's gonna make a gorgeous skirt. You know, I think this might actually be the first time I have ever gotten to my last project that I've planned for a video on the first day of working on them. Normally, I feel like these projects take me so long. They always take me like twice as many days as I expect. And listen, I don't know that I'm gonna finish this today, but the fact that I'm starting it is kind of a big W for me personally. I'm just sort of starting with the idea that this will be just like a plain, straight bias cut skirt with no other embellishments. This is sort of my base, but I would also love to add like a tiered ruffle along the bottom if I have enough time and supplies. And I think I will have enough supplies, so we'll see. This is just the base for now. And my next step will just be to attach the sides together, and then we'll make a waistband. All the other projects in this video have been pretty self-explanatory. I think you could easily replicate them without detailed instruction, but this one is the first one where I do feel compelled to say this is really more of a DIY with me than a tutorial. Clearly, I am just sort of making it up as I go here, but if you see how this skirt turns out and then you want to make one like this, I will link a video tutorial and some sewing patterns for similar skirts in the description, because I'm sure there is some very helpful guidance already out there for this style. Also, can we get a little commotion for my sewing machine, who fully ran smoothly and worked properly throughout this whole video? I'm so proud of her. If you have watched my other DIY videos, you know how rare this is. This old hand-me-down sewing machine I got for free is not exactly a piece of state-of-the-art equipment, but I have to hand it to her. This was truly one of her most successful performances yet. And maybe it was because I didn't actually use the sewing machine as much in this video, so she wasn't pushed as hard. Personally, I am going to take this as a lesson for all of us to remember. Sometimes you need to take it easy and not push yourself too hard to actually succeed and perform well. Okay, now all of you go internalize that right now. Go. I'll be here. I'll wait. Hello. It's a few hours later. Sorry for the harsh lighting. I have assembled my skirt in that I've sewed the front and back pieces together and made a waistband, sewed that together, but I feel like it's not exciting enough. I think I do want to add a little tiered final like ruffly bit along the bottom. And I also think it's not quite long enough. Hold on, let me show you. To me, I would like it to be slightly longer. So I'm actually going to crop this part up shorter, but then do a nice long, thick, ruffly band along the bottom. If I finish this tonight, this will be the greatest success Beep World has ever seen in efficient thrift flipping all in one day. I don't know if that's gonna happen. We'll see. I'm just gonna make a big panel and then gather it and attach it. And then the skirt should be done. It is very comfy so far. I love this fabric. Okay, let's finish it off. Hi everyone! It's the next morning, and guess what? I finished all my projects yesterday. Well, mostly. You'll see. But overall, I'm ready to show you the final results, so let's just get into it. First up, we have this button down, now with the sleeves cropped. This is so good to me. I can't believe how much sleeve length transforms the whole shape and feel of this top. The shorter sleeves really make this top exactly what I originally envisioned. I love that it has a boxy, oversized fit without feeling disproportionate to my body. I actually used to have quite a few funky short sleeve button downs that I ended up getting rid of because they weren't quite the fit I wanted, but since then, this has been a noticeable hole in my wardrobe, especially in warmer weather, so I know this will get so much wear. Oh, and if you're interested in the little E patch but you missed my last DIY video where I added that, I'll link it in the description if you want to check it out. Next up, this pillowcase turned hair bandana. Unsurprisingly, I think this worked great. And honestly, I never would have thought of this if it weren't for that comment suggesting it. I truly appreciate ideas from you all so much. I don't have that much to say about this because it was so simple and straightforward, but I will just add, this is really the most ideal beginner project of all time. It's just cutting any fabric into a square. So if this one especially interests you, I highly recommend trying it out. This could also be a great use for scrap fabric. Next up, we have the Mitski merch tee I was so worried about. I am so thrilled to say I am utterly in love with this. It really looks pretty much exactly how I envisioned, but maybe even cooler than I had hoped. I also love what the added doodles on the sleeves and back and shoulders add to the overall visual effect. I love that it feels quite unexpected and surprising, but still extremely wearable. It also reminds me of like a bunch of little random tattoos, which is also a look I love. Based on my previous experience with these fabric markers, I do think it will probably fade a bit in the wash, but honestly, I think that will get it even closer to the look I'm going for. I don't need it to be super stark, so I'm super excited to see how this wears over time. I could even add more to it later. Okay, so when I said I mostly finished all my projects yesterday, this beanie is what I meant because, I mean, I did finish it, but I am not exactly satisfied with it, and I don't plan on leaving it this way. Ultimately, I didn't feel the need to urgently redo it right this second, but this was a good learning experience for next time, and I do have a better plan for next time, which is just to remove what I did, rip out the J, and add a new B from scratch. Hopefully this will be featured as a successful project in a future video. Finally, we have the plaid skirt, which I think looks truly magnificent, if I may say so myself. As you can see, the gathered tier on the bottom truly added so much to the whole shape and flow of the garment, and I am so happy with this. You can also see that the plaid of the tier is straight while the plaid of the skirt is on the diagonal, and this is really because I didn't have enough fabric left to cut the tier on the diagonal, but I actually think the juxtaposed positioning looks quite cool and just adds more interest to the skirt. And again, it's so comfy. Great fabric, great fit. I just know I'm gonna get so much wear out of this. By the way, I do have a good amount left over of this fabric, so if you have any ideas on what to make with it, let me know. Overall, I am so happy with these. The hat isn't even really getting me down because I'm so happy with everything else that I don't even really care. I know I'm gonna get so much use out of these creations. I feel like I executed my vision like exactly how I imagined it for all of them, again, except the hat. I'm just really happy with these overall. I really think I'm gonna wear them all so much. I'm so excited. I would also love to see if you create anything inspired by any of these DIYs or any DIYs in any of my videos. Please tag me on Instagram if you're willing to share because I love to see pictures. And of course, I would love to hear your favorite projects from this video in the comments. Mine is honestly tied between the skirt and the doodled t-shirt. So different, but both so delightful. Oh, and I heard if you do leave a comment, watch another video like this one right here, and subscribe to my channel, your next risky thrift flip will turn out exactly how you envisioned, and you won't end up ruining the original piece.